If you hear this message, wherever you stand, I'm calling every woman, calling every man. We're the generation, we can't afford to wait.
Good morning, Detroit. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Empowered Living. I am one of your hosts, Marshall Bryant, and later on in the segment, Loris Allen will be joining us, and he's going to be conducting a segment on male mentoring. This is National Mentoring Month, and we're going to start off with one of our guests, whose name is Miss Alice Johnson. And she is an advocate and a mentor in the community. So we're going to be talking to her for our first segment. Good morning, Alice.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good. I'm so glad you're here to join us this morning so we can finish off the month talking about mentoring and helping our youth. And I want to start our discussion talking about young ladies and confidence, because that seems to be one of the biggest issues when you get down to mentoring that we have to address first is, I think, I don't know if you agree, is confidence. What do you think?
Yeah, confidence is definitely a must. And especially with the youth, I don't know if you remember like being in junior high or high school, and it was, I remember it was very hard. It was the peer pressure and just, trying to figure out how to become a young woman.
Right.
And, what is acceptable and what's not acceptable, especially when it comes to relationships with other people.
Right.
So those are some big key factors.
They are, because it determines which way you'll go, if you're strong enough not to get caught up in peer pressure and just be your own individual person, or if you'll, be strong enough to sometimes stand alone. So with being an advocate for young ladies and human trafficking, what is your experience with when you deal with young ladies realizing the confidence, or what kind of pushes them in a negative direction?
Well, it basically starts with the foundation and understanding who I am and where I'm trying to go in the world. And that's why youth are so vulnerable.
Okay.
It's because they don't have that. They're still trying to figure it out. And so traffickers will use that to try to lure them in. It's not necessarily it has to be a weak person or a poor person or anything of that nature. They just look for vulnerabilities. And so if I'm the type of person who just wants to make friends and really don't have a lot of friends, they can use that as a means to target you. And so that's why I said it's very important about the foundation and who I believe I am in the world. And when I'm working with women, I try to help them understand that part of it.
Okay.
To become strong in that.
I know I was talking to recently one of the social workers that's on board with us with Empower Living, and she mentioned that it starts also with a young lady's first relationship with her father, the first love, and how that affects them as well. So would you say that brokenness sometimes, or if that male figure isn't there, that could kind of push someone, or they don't understand how to keep themselves, from getting caught up or something?
Well, of course, everything is taught, and so it starts at home about understanding what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. And you learn that from your father,
Right.
but you can also learn it from your brothers and your uncles as well. I think that all young women, whether they got a father in the household or not, still at some point seek outside relationships and can become vulnerable in that relationship. It's because you can have a two-family household where the parents don't ever touch, or they don't really express feeling, and so they don't know how to deal with those emotions. Everything is a learned process. And for young women, what we need to understand is just every time you get in a relationship with somebody, it doesn't mean that that's going to be your husband or that's going to
Right.
be the person you're with for the rest of your life. So it's just best to take your time and be patient with self so that you can see yourself in a relationship, because that's what we do in relationships.
Right.
We learn who we are, and if you've never been in a relationship, you don't even know who you are until you get in one, and it's like, oh my God, this is who I am.
Right.
And so I have to learn how to accept myself for who I am, make the changes that's needed, and be patient with myself.
Okay. So when working with young ladies that may be transitioning or stepping away from it, or they've been rescued out of human trafficking, how do you begin a process to work with them to build that confidence? Or, you know what I'm saying? Is it some type of help or steps with that?
Well, that's one of the reasons why I created this group. It's called Who Am I Now?
Okay.
And there are actually workshops where I sit down with the ladies, because what happens is any type of trauma, especially if it's sexual trauma, the person becomes trapped in that moment.
Okay.
And so it's hard to step outside of that moment and begin to live again. And so what I do is I try to help them peel back the layers in understanding what happened to them through a process. It's not something that happens overnight. This is like an ongoing healing that will take the rest of their lives, but they
Right.
begin to be stronger, and they begin to see the world differently. And basically that's the process. It's we start out with identification, because most girls who've been trafficked don't even realize what trafficking is.
Right.
So
Okay.
like even people who've been trafficked for many years, like they have no clue what happened to them until I break it down to them, and then they get a better understanding, because there's several components to it. It's tricked, coerced, and forced.
Okay.
It's not just the person who is locked in the basement, or just the person who's been forced to sell themselves.
Okay.
It's the person who grows up believing that that's how they're supposed to live. You know what I mean? Because like in our society, when you have media, social media, and you have all these outlets that are promoting it in such a way, such as dancing and different things that you see on TV, and different things that you hear, especially in the urban music.
Right.
If you listen to the urban music, I tell my son all the time, I'm like, switch the channel. Switch the channel to a AM station and listen to that for a while, so you can see the difference in what they are putting out to our communities.
Right.
And I tell all the youth that, because it's very important to understand that just because what you see is in the world, a lot of that is fictitious, and what they're doing is they are profiting off of the demise of other people.
Right.
And then they're convincing you that it's a good thing.
And it's okay. And it's not. Okay.
Yeah, and so you get caught up in that. Now, young girls, like especially, who might be impoverished, or, who might not have the best of everything, they tell, their dad won't get them that phone, or they won't get them jeans they want, and somebody says, hey, if you go on Backpage, you can get this phone, nobody will never know, but they don't understand all that comes with that, because there's millions of predators
Right.
on that internet who are waiting for you to put yourself into a compromising position, because now society says that you made a choice.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, we are coming up on our first break, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about girls' confidence and human trafficking, what parents should be aware of, what young ladies should be aware of. So, they're very well aware. And as you say, with music and different things in our culture, that sometimes we get tricked and we don't even realize that we're going down a path that's negative in the first place, and we don't even realize it. So we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back with Ms. Alice Johnson and continue this conversation. Get some coffee, get some tea, but come right back to WHPR, Empowered Living. WHPR is the place to be. Thank you.
If you hear this message, wherever you stand, I'm calling every woman, calling every man. We're the generation, we can't afford to wait. The future started yesterday, and we're already late.
Are you sick and tired of paying high cable or satellite bills? Well, guess what? Those days are over and gone. You can cut the cable bill forever. Imagine having over 1,000 live HD cable channels, including local channels, all the premium channels, every sports package, including all the games and boxing, special live events, and much more. Don't miss an episode of your favorite TV series. Plus, get over 9,000 movies on demand. All this for about $1 a day. You heard me right, for about $1 a day. Watch it on your phone, computer, tablet, or your TV set. Take it with you on the go. No equipment or messy in-home wiring needed. Join the wave of people who are cutting the cable and taking advantage of this revolutionary TV and entertainment service. Contact us now to learn more about this amazing offer. You'll be glad you did. Welcome to the new world of television entertainment. If you could use some extra income, we're looking for individuals to help spread the word. Reach out now.
If you hear this message, wherever you stand, I'm calling every woman, calling every man. We're the generation that can't afford to wait.
Good morning and welcome back. And if you're just now joining us and tuning in, we are talking this morning about mentoring because this is National Mentoring Month. And this morning we have a special guest with us, starting off, Miss Alice Johnson, and she's an advocate for human trafficking. And she's talking to us about girls and confidence and understanding things about human trafficking and what parents should know and young ladies should know. So we left off and you were talking about 3 steps. Can you give us some insight about those 3 steps?
Yeah, sure. It's trick, coerced, or force.
Okay.
And so what parents need to understand is that this law just became in effect in 3 years ago.
Okay.
So up until 3 years ago, women who had been trafficked were not considered they were considered criminals. And so 3 years ago, actually about 7 years ago, girls all over the country had decided, who had been through this, started coming together on the internet and making this voice. Okay. So the voices became very loud. And so we went to the Senate and different things, and we asked that they change the laws because most of these girls had been trafficked from the time they were minors. So I've been working with probably 200 girls since January of last year. Okay. Half of those were under the age of 17. So that's just how prevalent it is in the city of Detroit, how easy it is for girls to get caught up. So to be tricked could be somebody opposing to be a boyfriend that wants to marry them, and but he doesn't have a job. He doesn't. He's on parole, so he can't. Or he got all these child support bills, so he can't pay the bills. So she has to do something, and so that's a way that they lure her in.
Okay.
And then and you can meet somebody. A lot of girls get caught up on Facebook, get caught up on all these different apps.
Yeah.
Where they're actually being preyed upon. And what I tell the youth is look, these people wake up in the morning. This is their job. Their job is to sit there on the internet all day, every day, all night long, trying to convince someone to put themselves in a compromising position. So a compromising position could be just getting you to come to their house, taking pictures or recording you in such a way that now they have this over your head. And if you come from a 2-family home with your father and your mother are together or not together, and you just have high regards for them. Right. So now they have this over your head. So now if you don't do what I say, I'm going to show this to your family, or I'm going to put it on Facebook. I'm going to expose you in front of all your friends and all your family. Okay. So girls become very easily lured in that sense. And with the internet the way it is and everybody just wants to be friends, what you have to keep in mind is that there are millions of people on the internet, and it's no way possible that all of them could be nice. Like, what I mean? Like, you have to really think literally, and because 1 out of every 5 men that you meet on the internet, maybe 2 are some type of predator. Either they're trying to manipulate you, control you, take advantage of you in all these different senses. They're really not there trying to be your friend, and that's what you have to understand. Right. And then you have coercion. Coercion is something as simple as 2 homeless people walking down the street. One homeless person says to the other homeless person, "Hey, I got somewhere for us to stay if you be with this guy." And if that happens, then that's still a form of trafficking. People don't understand that trafficking has many, many layers. Right. So if my uncle is buying me shoes and he's buying me stuff and I'm not telling anybody and he's having sex with me, I'm being trafficked. And I
Okay.
just don't understand that is what's happening to me. And so that's what we try to put out into to the community. The same way with the drug addicts who are walking the streets. So if I am spending all day and all night giving my money to someone else, right? For the benefit, it's for the benefit of another human being.
Right.
So anytime I am having a sexual act like that, and another human being is benefiting from it, whether I'm a minor or I'm adult, and I am not getting anything out of it, it's trafficking.
It's trafficking, yeah.
Yeah. So there's many layers, and
Wow. Do you touch on the young boys? Because see, it seems like we talk about the girls, but we don't talk about the boys too much, because it's almost like a rite of passage with boys to have sexual intercourse early. And I'm gonna be honest, I might make some people mad, but it's the honest to God's truth.
well,
When we
actually, that is true, and that's true with our girls too. That's true in our society. See, this is the oldest oppression on the planet. This has been going on since way back when Moses and Noah was talking about it.
Right.
But in our society, we have made it a rite to passage. Like it's a good thing to take your son to the strip club,
Right.
not understanding that they are contributing to the demise of another human being.
Right.
And so basically, well, I forgot the question.
but we were talking about how we talk about the girls and getting them, but
the
young
guys.
men, but the
Okay.
young men too.
Yeah, I have probably 15 young men on my caseload right
Okay,
now.
okay.
And so a lot of people don't understand that in the transgender community, it is a rite to passage. Like, so you kick your son out, that's immediately what they do is they put them on Backpage. You don't need them. You can take care of yourself. And in their mind, it's like, okay, this is how I live. This is how I survive. Because really, you're talking about the once a person gets involved in it, they become the oppressed. They become the ostracized of the community.
Right.
And so, because this person is transgender or gay, in our society, we already ostracize them, so they can't go get a job.
Right.
You know what I mean? And most of them are minors when they
Okay.
get started. So, they actually can't get a job. So in real life, this is how they survive. It has nothing to do with, oh, this is what I want to do. It has everything to do with survival and trying to figure out how I'm going to eat and sleep for the night.
Wow. So when children are taken across state lines, that it's like we skim the surface, but it's like we don't really understand the dynamics of how one child is taken from one state to the next state, and what is the probability of them even making it back.
Well, statistically, it's 3%. So if a minor is taken across state lines, the statistically is 3%. A lot of people don't understand when it comes to trafficking, it has a lot to do with shame, guilt, that is placed upon them, even when they're in a situation where they might be able to come home, they won't come home because now they have been tainted. Now they have been used, and they feel that if they come home, their family won't accept them, they won't love them anymore, and so they continue to stay in this cycle. And what happens is, if a person doesn't submit to the lifestyle itself and convince themselves that it's okay, a lot of them end up dying and getting killed, because when you're out there, feelings and emotions will get you killed.
Oh, wow.
And I just this month, we found one of the girls that I was working with on the side of the road. Somebody dumped her.
Really?
Yeah, so it's very it's a lot. Like, a lot of people who get involved in this end up dying, and they're tagged Jane Joe, and that's it, because of where they were found. And in our society, that's just so unacceptable for someone to, and for our youth, I just want to say that. So to sign up for that in any fashion, what I mean, is almost, it's crazy, in your mind. Because when you look at the reality of it, how many people have actually got out of that successfully and say now they own a business, and, now they're productive members of society. See, society will tell you, oh, it's a job. But if you're a runaway, you don't have an ID, a social security card, a birth certificate, you don't have a place to live, that's not a job. That's called slavery.
Right. Thank you for breaking that down. Thank you. And that's the thing, that, it needs to be heard from that perspective, and not just, I don't know, it's like we put this image on it and it's not real. You have to understand exactly what's going on. Now, there's apps. I know there's apps, and then there's also signs that I've seen where it says, if you're looking for a job, call me, and, your friends, and those are ways in, correct?
Oh yes, definitely. I mean, these people are so elaborate. Some of them at what they do, because just like trafficking has layers and layers, so does the trafficker, right? Of different ways that they lure the people in. Some of them send youth to schools, to parties, to the mall, and to pull them in. Some of them, sit on the internet, and they have many different apps right now. They can sit on the video games and play video games with your kids for months. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because the video game have that headphone where you can sit back and talk to people. All they got to do is get them in a compromising situation. You come meet me somewhere, or when is your mom at home?
Right.
Different things like that. And so what they try to do is build a relationship, because the trafficker's job is to convince you to willingly come. Once you willingly come, then they press upon force,
Okay.
and coercion through different through different mails, whether it's matters, whether it's blackmail or But the apps are very important to really, like, you really got to get with your kids. You really
Right.
got to let them know, because the best defense against anything is education.
Right.
I can't defend myself against something I don't know
No,
exists.
exactly.
And in our families, we don't want to tell our kids about the bad things in the
Right.
world. You know what I mean? Like, this is real. This is what they're up against. Our kids sit on the internet from the time they wake up to the time they go to bed, unless we force them to get off. So it is definitely our job as parents to educate them on what's going on the internet. And the porn that they have on the internet is also windows of trafficking. I mean, it is so horrendous, the
Right.
things that they do on there. It's not even natural. It's not even normal. And these are things that we need to teach our young men, is that this is not real. This is not how a real woman and a man interact.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's very important that we teach them the difference between the lies and the truth.
Exactly. And thank you for sharing all this, because you mentioned something. You said that just playing games, they get them comfortable. So if, sometimes students, and I'm thinking because I'm a middle school teacher, so a lot of times they're looking for the acceptance. They're looking for, somebody to make me feel good, make me feel comfortable. So they already know, as adults, this is what I'm going to play on, because this is an issue that happens with children. They don't feel comfortable or accepted. So this is the way they get them in, by making them feel comfortable.
Yes, of course, because there was a survey that was done at all, like in New York, with about 10 different parks, and they went to the parks and they was like, hey, can we ask your kid, will they leave with us? And out of all the places, every last one of those children left with that man,
Oh, wow.
because he had a puppy.
'Cause he had
And the mom was sitting right there. They just went up to him and, and just, hey, do you want to pet the puppy? You want to go see some more puppies? I got more puppies over here. And so it's something that we have to instill in our children as early and as young as possible, that everybody is not safe.
Right.
And so, and just allowing them to be tested in that area. Because especially when you're in junior high and you're in high school, this is the most vulnerable stages for our children. And that's why they say the recruitment age is from like 11 to 22.
Right. Okay.
So those are the targets of who they're looking for, because they're the most vulnerable and easily manipulated. Not that they're not smart, because there's a lot of very smart people who have been trafficked.
Right.
A lot of people get the misconception of it. It's not because they all were poor.
Right.
There are a lot of people who come from wealthy families who are trafficked. So, because they don't have a filter. It's not about money, property, or prestige. They're not looking for a person. They don't care who your parents are.
Right.
If you got a trust fund coming, that's even better. As far as they're concerned.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Because it's all profit.
Yes, it's
okay.
all profit, because it's like if you drink a bottle of soda, once you finish the soda, it's gone. But if you traffic a person, you can traffic them over and over and over and over and over and over. There is no end. So, and that's why it's very that's why it's so prevalent. And what President Obama had declared it a state of emergency.
Right.
And so that was made way for it to have funding and different things like that. And so, like with my job, Neighborhood Legal Services, they have, actually we work with the homeless and we work with the traffic. I actually go out and try to seek them out and help other organizations identify them, because there was nothing put in place. There's nothing put in place to help somebody who's been trafficked. So say your daughter runs away over the weekend.
Okay.
And, she's held up in a hotel room, and guys are coming in and having their word with her. If the police raided it 3 years ago, she would have went to jail.
Because it was a crime.
Yes.
She was committing the crime.
She was the criminal.
Wow.
So and that's was the only thing that is different. But we still haven't put into place, how do we help them recover?
Okay.
Because just like, you're looking at domestic violence, you're looking at all these different types of sexual abuse, but you have nothing in place for women who've been trafficked. And that's why, I do what I do, and I try to help other organizations understand and identify it, be sensitive to it, because in our society, nobody's sensitive to it.
Right.
Like, if this happens to you, that's it. But that's a lie. Because there's more to you than your body. You just got to figure out what it is.
Okay.
As a young woman, that's definitely, the first order of business is to figure out what it is about me that is so wonderful and great outside of my looks.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for coming on today and educating us. We definitely want to have you back to continue, because there's more. Like you say, there's more layers. There's more education that we need to understand, just like learning that, the young women, they were treated as criminals. And then also they have to be in that age group with dating, because sometimes people can date you. You think you got a relationship, and then you find out later. I've heard about that too. So we're going to have a part 2 to this and finish this discussion, because it's something that we need to be educated, because Michigan is number 2. Am I correct?
Yes.
So we're number 2.
Yeah.
So this is
up
big.
there.
We're up there on the list. Okay, so we are upon our next break, and next we are going to have Loris. He's going to come on and he's going to have a men's discussion. So stay tuned and come back, because WHPR is the place to be.
If you hear this message, wherever you stand, I'm calling every woman, calling every man.
Are you sick and tired of paying high cable or satellite bills? Well, guess what? Those days are over and gone. You can cut the cable bill forever. Imagine having over 1,000 live HD cable channels, including local channels, all the premium channels, every sports package including all the games and boxing, special live events, and much more. Don't miss an episode of your favorite TV series. Plus, get over 9,000 movies on demand. All this for about $1 a day. You heard me right, for about $1 a day. Watch it on your phone, computer, tablet, or your TV set. Take it with you on the go. No equipment or messy in-home wiring needed. Join the wave of people who are cutting the cable and taking advantage of this revolutionary TV and entertainment service. Contact us now to learn more about this amazing offer. You'll be glad you did. Welcome to the new world of television entertainment. If you could use some extra income, we're looking for individuals to help spread the word. Reach out now.
If you hear this message, wherever you stand, I'm calling every woman, calling every man.
Good morning, Detroit. Well, and welcome back to Empowered Living. I want to again thank Marshall and Mr. Alice J. for our first segment on the women trafficking. I think that was very vital and some very good information that we need to transfer to our community. Now, welcome to the second segment, where it's the men's turn. Now, we're going to have a male discussion on some important things and that we want to touch on in the community, especially dealing with some of our young African American men. I have guests here today, and we have Mr. Jeremiah Avery.
How you doing, sir?
All right, and we have Mr. Johnny Acom Sr.
How you doing today?
And Mr. Johnny Poe.
Good morning. Good morning.
We have these some phenomenal guests here, Detroit, and they're going to share with us just some positive things that we want to uplift and highlight was in our community. Gentlemen, anybody can answer this question. The the male role in the community is important, but where are we lacking?
In all aspects. I think we're lacking in all aspects. The men are not stepping up, taking responsibility, accountability for themselves, their families, uh, and not leading these young men the way they need to be led.
Me personally, I just feel like the youth, I can speak for the youth from experience, we lack the trait of hard work and we don't have patience anymore. Everybody just want to live for the moment. Nobody is setting goals for the future. And I believe that's the reason why society is the way it is today. Because everybody want to be what they see on TV.
I waited because I wanted to hear the Young Bucks' perspective, because I'm more in tune with hearing what the YP's got to say. But there are multiple factors that go into why we have a very extreme crime rate in our city, and why there is such illegal activity that goes on across the country with the African American male, but not just the African American male, but the male period.
Okay.
I've worked in a juvenile placement program where young men were locked up for committing crimes in the community across the country. And Detroit has a program that facilitated these young men to give them the service that they needed until they got out the program. And it was an asset to them because it had incorporated some skill set programs that can help develop them, and give them exactly what they needed for the purpose of them fulfilling what they lacked. So they can now have the benefits given to them. So I think there's a lack of fathering this generation today. A lot of young men, I'm gonna break it down when I say that. Now, I can't teach a young lady about a menstrual cycle because I'm not a woman.
Okay.
It would be off for me to try to talk to my daughter about something like that. Am I real, brother? Am I right, brother?
I agree with you.
Okay, I
Right.
figured y'all understood.
Exactly.
But if my son comes into the equation, and I understand the sex that he has on his life, okay, I am to teach him how to develop masculinity because I'm a masculine figure. Am I right, man?
Appreciate
agree
it.
with
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
so as a man, it's our responsibility to do what with our boys. We got to guide them. We have to give them structure. We have to teach them responsibility. We have to show them discipline. So we have to protect them. We have to teach them how to be a protector. So when you don't have those things incorporated in an adolescent development process, when you are a boy becoming a man, 9 times out of 10, innately, you're going to do what you think is necessary to develop yourself into becoming a man. And your thought process on that would also be based on you just saying to yourself, this is my philosophy on how I define what manhood is for me. Therefore, if I want to get my gun, my lid, and shoot somebody or hit a lick, this is what's going to go down. And so that was the kind of the new millennial mindset of the boys that was locked up in the program, is that ain't nobody gave me no money, ain't nobody gave me no food. I had to survive. I had to do what I had to do to maintain my life. So who are you to talk to me? Who are you to tell me what I need to do? How you gonna come in my life after all these years and I ain't had nobody in my life to give me what I needed? I got it on my own. So there is a self-centered, narcissistic way of thinking where they have a cynical, obnoxious mindset that can be broken, but it can only be broken if somebody is willing to be what Sister Marshall told me today. Previously, actually, she said that this is National Mentor Month. So if a mentor begins to be the man and take the child on the right tour, then it's multiple possibilities that can happen. Is that all right for you? That's a long answer, but hey, you got to answer.
We appreciate it. Thank you, Brother Jeremiah.
Yes, sir.
Now, gentlemen, I want to also and piggybacking on that, or to extend that, how do we build confidence in young men and to continue the confidence and have them stand for things that are positive? What methods do we do for that, gentlemen?
Well, for me personally, I build my confidence first with this may not be right for everybody, but I feel like you have to be comfortable with yourself physically first.
Okay.
Before you can be confident. So I done came a long way. I was younger. I was short, fat. You know what I'm saying? I didn't lost over 100 pounds, played college ball, and there are a lot of things that people really want to do, wish to do. So once I started feeling myself physically, my confidence just went through the roof. So I feel like that physical is first. You got to have that physical love for yourself before you can be confident.
So would you say that after you got your physical self to where you were accepted, then your self-esteem blossomed from that?
Through the roof. and honestly,
okay.
That's not right, but that's just how it is today. You know, in today's world, everybody want to be accepted. You want to feel like the next person think that you okay. And that's just, I mean, I know that's not 100% totally right, but that's just how it is today. So you got to adapt.
I see. Mr. Acom, what do you think about?
Well, I kind of have a different outlook on that. I think your confidence starts within yourself. And as we discussed over the phone, all this starts in the home.
Okay.
It goes back to parent. You know, the first 8 years of a child's life are the most vital years. And if you don't instill certain things in that child in the first 8 years, you've lost him to the world. And one of the key things is instilling the fear of God. And that's just something that's taken completely out the household now. I mean, you got young people you got babies having babies.
Right.
So how can another baby teach a baby something? See, when I was coming up, our grandparents was 55, 60 years old. They had already lived life. They had been through certain things, and they could pass on things that would help you in life. Well, today you got grandparents 34, 35 years old. They still in the club. They want to take the baby. They going to the club with the babies. You know, and that's the difference. And far as the young man, I want to get back to what he said. We got to break the monogamy that a black woman can't raise a black man, because that's not true. I come from a single parent household. I never knew my father. He was nowhere around, and I had the fear of God, and because my mother played no games, and she was for no games, and that has helped me all through my life. I'm almost 50 years old, and a lot of brothers can't say this. I've never been to penitentiary.
Praise God.
You know, I've never been shot. I've never been stabbed. I've been in the streets. I come from the streets. But I position myself around people that could teach me things. And that's what we need today. We need to put these young people around people that can, first of all, relate to their struggles and willing to take the time out to teach them. And it's not going to be a easy process. It's easier said than done, but we just got to stick to it.
Okay, well, appreciate that, gentlemen. All right, Detroit, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to continue this male conversation with these phenomenal men on National Mentoring Month. So, like I said, don't go far, but come right back.
If you hear this message, wherever you stand, I'm calling every woman, calling every man.
Are you sick and tired of paying high cable or satellite bills? Well, guess what? Those days are over and gone. You can cut the cable bill forever. Imagine having over 1,000 live HD cable channels, including local channels, all the premium channels, every sports package including all the games and boxing, special live events, and much more. Don't miss an episode of your favorite TV series. Plus get over 9,000 movies on demand. All this for about $1 a day. You heard me right, for about $1 a day. Watch it on your phone, computer, tablet, or your TV set. Take it with you on the go. No equipment or messy in-home wiring needed. Join the wave of people who are cutting the cable and taking advantage of this revolutionary TV and entertainment service. Contact us now to learn more about this amazing offer. You'll be glad you did. Welcome to the new world of television entertainment. If you could use some extra income, we're looking for individuals to help spread the word. Reach out now.
If you hear this message, wherever you stand, I'm calling every woman, calling every man.
Good morning and welcome back, Detroit. And this is our second segment of our male conversation, and I want to pose a question to Mr. Avery. You were recently at a symposium of Stop the Violence. Could you share with the viewers what the symposium was about and how what impact it had on you?
Well, really, it was more of me trying to intend to have an impact on those who were a part of it. Basically, it was about the violence in the city of Detroit, and Pastor Mo, who is over LIP, Live in Peace organization, has had a strong move of reaching out to the community and advocating for justice, peace, and equality. He also wanted to make sure that the people knew that from the Christian standpoint of view that they were not just there to be a mouthpiece, but they were there to be in action. And so it allowed everybody to collaborate their thoughts and their expressions about the issues that goes on in the city regarding the causes of why crime is so strong in the city. And then what I initiated in the meeting was to express to them the importance of solution. You can talk about a problem all day long, but how are you going to solve it? When my knee was cut one time when I fell off my bike, I said, "Mommy, my knee hurting me." And my mom looked at me and said, "Yeah, good for you." And I said, "Mom, my knee's hurting me." She said, "Come here, baby." And then, but she was trying to make me tough, Right. So she got some Andy ointment and she got some peroxide, and she put it on my knee. And then she put a Band-Aid on top. In other words, she was there to solve the problem, because I could have complained about it all day, day long. So the point of me being at the meeting was to make sure that the people had a solution. So we came up with some preventive strategies that needed to be implemented that could reduce the crime rate in the city of Detroit. And hopefully those who were paying attention to the message that Brother Maurice was speaking, they would have adhered to that information. And so one of the things that he wanted to do was incorporate recreational programs in the city. Let me tell you, we got an epidemic in our city with young people. Again, I say this because the lack of fathering has been going on for centuries. It's nothing new under the sun. Yes, women do have powerful influence on males. We see it today. I mean, but at the same time, preferably it would be very encouraging to have a male role model in the home or even in the life of the child. Let me break this down to you. Statistics have proven something. It was a university, I forgot what state it was in. They did like a survey assessment to define it talked about what happens when a male who gets an MBA job potentially, if they are under the influence of a male figure. 91% of those who have a male figure as a man would make approximately $9,961 a month, which is almost basically saying you would make close to $80,000 to $90,000, up to $100,000 annually. So let me explain this to you. It does have positive factors to it. If a man is involved in a young man's life, it can have impact to a high capacity. Secondly, if we also realize that mentorship is positive.
Okay.
It's a positive role, and it should be incorporated effectively. I want to share this quote with you that Bob Proctor said. He says, A mentor is someone who sees more talent and ability within you than you see within yourself, and they help bring it out of you. He says the best way a mentor can prepare another leader is to expose him to other great people. Mentoring is a brain to pick and an ear to listen and push a person in the right direction. So that's to me is the effects and the power of mentorship, as when you allow yourself to say within yourself, I want to open up to someone who has something I don't have, and that they can guide me through this life that I'm living so I can accomplish what they have already accomplished for themselves.
Okay.
All right, yeah.
All right, and that's well said.
That's a long answer again. Long answer part number 2.
We don't mind that, viewers. We don't mind that. My next question is for Mr. Poe.
Yes,
Young Mr. Poe. 2 questions for you, sir. I hear you have a clothing line.
Yes,
That you
yes.
started. I want you to tell the viewers a little bit about your clothing line, and also I heard you were a 8th grade keynote speaker.
Yeah, I
And,
was.
all right.
I'm sorry.
Well, okay. Well, it's a 2-part question. What did you share with the 8th grade keynote speaker, and tell us about your clothing line as well.
At the graduation, it was an 8th grade graduation a few months back.
What school, if you mind me asking?
Law Academy.
Okay.
Law Academy. One of my ex basketball coaches is a teacher over there as well, and he reached out to me. He's been watching me over the years and noticed everything, and he asked me to come speak to the kids, saying that I would be a perfect prime example of what children in the city would need to see. So I went over there and shared with them that basically don't let anybody tell you can't do something. Always chase your dreams and give everything that you have, at all times. So I basically just let them know that the sky's the limit. Go for it. Don't be scared. Being shy is natural. Everybody, I'm a little shy right now.
It's all right.
I don't know why, because I do this, but it is what it is. But and then I got a chance to kick it with a few of the guys afterwards. Got some phone numbers and keep up with them to this day. And as far as the clothing line go, Don't Panic is more of a lifestyle. It really started with athletics. Me and a few of my guys, we all went to community college, and going to community college, you have to be an adult at 17. So you have to pay rent, pay lights, pay gas. And I was in Minnesota. That's over 800 miles away from home.
Yeah.
And it was just me. So I had to make a way. I had to balance school, football, and still a job to try to pay my rent. I was evicted a few times. But we was always, don't panic, bro. You got it. Keep going. So when we finally got that scholarship, it felt good. We ended up all going to a Division I program, playing on TV, living out our dreams. And sat down one day, we started making T-shirts just for the football team. Don't Panic in the left corner, name and number on the back. And one day I put it on a jogging suit, and it blew up.
It took off from there.
It blew up, but I told them guys, we got one. So, that's where it came from. Don't panic, learn life. Got to learn life.
Don't panic.
Learn life. Got to put learn life behind it.
Don't panic, learn life.
Learn life.
I like
Gotta
that.
learn life.
I like that. I like words to live by. Words to live by. Don't panic, learn life. Awesome. Awesome. Gentlemen, how do we give back? I know we've been talking about this Elementary Month. You all have shared some with us, but what ways do we give back? Mr. Acom,
What are the ways we can give back to the community?
Yes, give back to the community.
Well, by taking the time out, talking to these young people, encouraging them to set goals that are within reason. A lot of us, we want the Bentley, we want the house on the lake, we want the jewelry, we want all the money, but those are not goals that we can reach. So we got to set small goals. Like if you ain't got your GED, get your GED. If there's any way possible you can get your record expunged, get it expunged so that you have a second chance. See, for some of us, we don't have second chances. We just have to take the cards that are dealt to us. And that's what I encouraged in my son. That's why I stayed on his head. I need for you to go to school. I need for you to get as much education as you can get so you can have choices and you won't have to accept. And he thought I was being hard on him at first, but it made me feel very good when he came back to me and say, Pops, now I see what you was telling me. I understand. And I figure if it worked for this young man, my son, it'll work for any other young man too. But we have to instill this into these young men. And a lot of us are afraid to go out into the communities and really rap and talk with these guys. But you got to dress like them. You got to walk. You got to come to them on a level where they can accept you.
Grassroots.
Right.
That's grassroots level. Okay.
And that's just what it's about. Any young man that I come in contact with, I try to encourage him in a positive way. I never encourage any young folk to do wrong
Okay.
or lead them into anything that's going to get them in trouble, because I'm not helping him. I'm only bringing him down. You know, and I think the sooner that we as a people understand that we are the biggest contributors to our own demise, then maybe something to change. You know, but until then, you know, like I hear people say Black Lives Matter, but yet when you turn on the news, it's 5-6 homicides a day within the city. Not just our city, all across America. You know, and one of the biggest things, talking to guys, old heads, that's what I call them, OGs, guys like me, from the street, is they don't know how to do nothing. All they know how to do is get out here and sell drugs. And now that the money ain't there, the time is so great, nobody wants to take those chances anymore. And their way of copping out, man, I'm going to get me a check. And this is the mentality that everybody has. Disability is my way out.
Right.
And even talking to the people with that, man, try to tell them, man, that ain't what you think it is, bro. You still going to need a job, a hustle, and something else just to live.
So
halfway.
In other words, they're kind of lacking a positive skill set.
Right.
If you run
Hard work.
And
a work ethic, if you will, too. A positive work ethic.
That's one of the key things that needs to be instilled in our young youth is work ethics. Because they looking at these rappers, the Jay-Z's and the Cash Money guys and all that, and this is the American dream to them. You know, but that opportunity is not going to come for everybody.
Okay. All right.
Thank you for having me on today, man. I appreciate this opportunity. By the way, I am the CEO of the Golden Lives Matter Incorporated, and I do public speaking to a variety of locations, and a variety of events, and I'm also a public activist, and I believe in helping people. Quick story, basically, people don't judge a book by its cover just because glitter ain't always gold. I've been through hell and back, and I thank God for it, and it made me what I am today, and I'm glad to be on. Thank you, sir.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Jeremiah. Gentlemen, you have anything last to say before we go off?
Well,
is
thank
there a
you.
website or information you want to share with our viewers before we close this segment?
Well, thank you for this opportunity, and I hope something that I said may touch somebody in a way that it can make a change in their life. And to anybody that's watching, just know without God, you're nothing. You got to have God in your life. If you trust in God, your life will change. I'm living proof. I'm living proof. Put God first and put everything else behind you. And just stand on faith. Thank you.
Awesome.
Just want to say thanks for the opportunity, man. I'm honored to be here. Hopefully I can get back in here again. If you're interested in any clothing, you can find us on Instagram at don'tpanicapparel.com or www.don'tpanic.apparel.com. I'm always in the city. I'm from Highland Park. I play basketball here. I'm at the field with the kids, playing around all the time. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, Detroit. Well, we want to thank you for, again, part one, because if you're finding your schedule, I want you guys back on the show for a part two segment for another male conversation.
Thank you. I'll be honored to do that anytime.
Thank you, sir.
All right. So, Detroit, we're going to take a real small break. Are we? Okay, maybe not. Well, like I said, we'll take a real small break, and when we come back, we're going to close the show out with Marshall and myself. So, stand by.
Wherever you stand, I'm calling every woman, calling every man. We're the generation we can't afford to wait. The future started yesterday, and we're already late.
Well, welcome back, Detroit, and thank you for joining us for an episode of Empowered Living. And this episode that was very special on mentoring for National Mentoring Month. So Loris and I, we're really proud of the guests that came in and shared information. I think it was great.
It was awesome. It was awesome. And remember, this is part one.
Part one. So we're going to do part two. Just want to throw this out here. Alice J., if you want to contact her at sistersurvivors.org. She also has a book, Out of the Darkness, by Alice J., and you can get it on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, and at Barnes & Nobles also. So thank you for joining us, Detroit, this morning for another episode of Empowered Living. And please come back again and have a great Sunday morning.
If you hear this message, wherever you stand, I'm calling every woman, calling every man. We're the generation